everyone, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to card 19 in my 2016 holiday card series. Today I'm using this adorable polar bear set from Kraftin Kimmie called Shake It Up Polar Bears, as well as the Winter Wonderland 6x6 by Simple Stories. So I've stamped my images on some Bristol smooth surface paper with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I'm going to color with my Zig markers today. So I started out with the 91 light gray, and now I'm just going in a couple places and adding some darker shadows with the 96 mid gray. And then I'm going to take my number 2 round. This is the silver brushes. This is the black velvet line. And I'm going to dip that into my water well and just begin to blend out that color. Just kind of creating a very light haze in the shadowed areas because I want him to still look white. So I'm always starting where the pigment is and then just blending that out. And then if I get too much gray in the middle of the bear, then I'll just dip into some clean water and blend that out so that he stays nice and bright and maintains that highlight. For my second bear, I'm actually going to start with my darker color, the 96 mid gray, and I'm going to lay in those shadows first. And then I will take my 91 light gray and just blend those out a little bit. These markers work great together blending out. You actually don't even have to use them with water if you don't want to. But I just prefer the softer look that the water brings. So then I'm going to blend him out just the same as I did the first bear. Just keeping those shadows towards the outside edges of the body and the little creases, and keeping the highlight on the belly and the face. And my third little bear, I'm going to color with those same 2 shades, just keeping the shadows to the outside edge with that 96 mid gray, also coloring most of his back leg that's on the other side of his body there. And then just taking that 91 light gray and blending that out a bit and giving him a little bit of shadow on his face as well to make him look nice and round. And then just blending that out again with a little bit of water and my paintbrush. And you'll notice that from time to time I wipe my brush off on my finger. And that's just so I make sure not to oversaturate the paper. Since it's not watercolor paper, you definitely don't want to get it too wet. But I do find that this is the best paper to use with these zigs. They just blend beautifully on this Bristol smooth surface. And now I'm going to take my 26 light pink, and I'm just going to give each of the polar bears some rosy cheeks and also color the insides of their ears. And then I'll just grab my paintbrush and blend that out. You could also leave them without the rosy cheeks. I just think it gives them a little bit more personality. So I'll set these aside to dry, and then I will fussy cut them out. I don't believe there are dies for this set. If there are, I don't have them. So I've cut down another piece of Bristol, and I'm going to use 3 shades of Distress ink, the Tumbled Glass, the Broken China, and Peacock Feathers. And I want to create a sky background, so I'm taking the Broken China first and just adding some of that along the bottom. Next I'm going to take the Broken China and I'll add that to the center, just coming in from the sides. The Distress inks blend really well on this Bristol smooth surface. I don't get any of those harsh lines anymore. And then I'm going to take the Peacock Feathers and I'll just blend that in from the top. I went back over each of my colors in the reverse to just make that blend really nice and smooth. And now I'm going to take my Distress sprayer and just spritz on some water. And then I'll give that a couple of seconds to soak in, and then I'll blot that with a paper towel. I'm going to take my Peacock Feathers and add a second layer over the top, over that water droplets, just to create a more vibrant look. And then I'll spritz that one more time and dab that off with a paper towel. And then I'll just set aside that background to dry. So my card base is a piece of MFT snow cone cardstock, scored and folded to a standard landscape style card. And I'm just going to take my first piece of pattern paper and glue that to the card base. And you can see my Tombow Mono is almost running out here. And I've cut that piece of pattern paper just 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card front to give me a small border. So I'll just make sure that that's straight and then smooth that into place. Next, I'm going to take this brown wood grain with the snowfall, and I'm going to switch to my ATG gun. So I'm going to adhere that down to another pattern paper that has some florals and pine cones on it. Very pretty piece of pattern paper. This is a beautiful pack. And then I'm going to take these 2 strips of red plaid that I die cut with the Lawn Fawn stitch scallop border die. This is the largest in that set of 3 dies. And I'm just going to use the grid on my mat to line that up straight. And then I'll just flip that over and do the same thing for the other side. And then I'll just add some ATG to the back of that whole piece. And I'll line that up on my card base and press that into place. So now that my background is dry, I'm going to take this Newton's Nook tag ×2 die, and I'm going to die cut 3 tags out of this piece. And I also die cut 3 tags out of some white cardstock. This is the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth. And now I'm going to take this Lawn Fawn Stitch Hillside border die, line it up over top of those white tags, and tape that into place. And then I'm going to run that through my Cuttlebug. And that's going to give me my snowbanks. I want to use my Misty to stamp my sentiment, so I'm just prepping that tag with my EK Success powder tool. And then I will ink up my sentiment with some Versamark ink. It's a clear sticky ink that works great for embossing. So I'm just inking that up really good, and then I will press that down onto my tag. And when I pulled it up, it did shift slightly, so I didn't want to take the chance of restamping. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my white embossing powder, and I'll just sprinkle that right over top of the sentiment a couple of times. Tap off the back to make sure there's no excess powder, and then I'll just heat that up with my heat tool. And that says, "Stay nice and snug with a polar bear hug." So cute. I'm taking some Ranger Multimedia Matte, just squirting a little bit out onto a piece of scratch paper, and then I'm just rubbing that along the top edge of each of these little snowdrifts. And then I will take some white glitter and just dip those into the glitter so that they have a nice, pretty, sparkly edge. And then I'm just going to take my tags and add a bead of Tombow Mono to the bottom of each of those. And I really do need to buy a new bottle because it is my favorite glue. But I'll just take those little snowdrifts and lay them right over top of the Tombow Mono and press those into place. So I've added some foam adhesive to the back of each of those tags, and now I'm just going to line them up on my card front and see how I want to space them out. And then I can just peel off the backer sheets and push those down into the card front. I'm going to start with the 2 on the outside edges first. And that will make it much easier to line up the one in the center. I'm going to grab my little standing bear and use some more of the Ranger Multimedia Matte since my Tombow was running out. And I'm just going to glue him down to the left tag. And I'll just set an acrylic block on him to make sure that he stays down, since there is a little bit of texture there with the glitter that I added to the edge of the snowbank. And then I'm going to take the one that is on all fours, and I'm going to add him to the hill on the right hand side. And then I'm going to take my third bear, and he is not going to fit on that center bank under the sentiment. So I'm going to add him overlapping the middle and right hand tags. And there's just a small space in between those, so I'm not going to worry about popping him up. He's going to fit just fine with the glue that I've adhered him with. So at this point I realized that my scene was a little too empty. So I stamped the tree in that stamp set 3 times, and I'm just going to color that in real quickly with the number 46 mid green. And I'm just coloring right up under each little section and then blending that out with my paintbrush and a little bit of water. And then I'll take number 66 Dark Oatmeal for the trunks, and I'll just fussy cut those out. I'm adding a tree to each of those tags using the Ranger Multimedia mat. So I'll just tuck the first one next to the standing polar bear. The second tree I'm going to tuck between the other 2 bears, and the last one I'm going to adhere to the middle tag right below the sentiment. I'm going to take my white Sakura Jelly Roll pen and just add a few little dots on the backgrounds for some snow, and I'm even adding it over top of the bears and the trees. I'm going to tie 3 little bows using some silver tinsel lawn trimmings, just leaving it on the roll until I adjust the loops how I want them. And once I have those ready, I can just take my scissors and trim that off. Then I'll add a dab of my Ranger Multimedia mat to the top of each of those tags and just adhere the bow right over the little die cut hole. And this way they all will look the same and uniform, as opposed to struggling with them if I had really tied them on the hole. I decided to go back in with my white gel pen and just add a little snow detail to the trees, just doing it to the left side of those branches, just kind of scribbling it on there. And then I will take a black Jelly Roll glaze pen and just dot that carefully over the eyes of each of the polar bears to make them nice and bright again. And that is going to complete our card for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed. Different kind of scene card with the tags. And I'll have a still shot here for you at the end. And I will also include a couple extra videos from previous Christmas card series. If you're interested in watching those, you can just go ahead and click on any of the video links. You can also click on my picture to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this Christmas card series. We're almost to the end. And have a great day. Bye-bye.